Acknowledging God's presence is a transformative mindset that can profoundly impact how we navigate life's complexities, joys, and trials. It means embracing the belief that God is always with us, actively involved in our lives, even when we may not perceive His presence. This awareness is not just a spiritual practice, it's a way of life that instills peace, strengthens faith, and provides clarity in every situation. Life is unpredictable. It is filled with moments that test our patience, challenge our resilience, and sometimes leave us feeling lost or overwhelmed. In such moments, it is easy to feel alone, as if no one understands the depth of our struggles. However, when we acknowledge God's presence, we remind ourselves that we are never truly alone. His presence is constant, a source of comfort and strength that transcends circumstances. This understanding gives us the courage to face whatever comes our way, knowing that we have a guide and protector by our side. Recognizing God's presence requires a shift in perspective. It's about tuning our hearts and minds to see beyond the visible and embrace the spiritual reality that God is always at work. For many, this begins with prayer, a direct line of communication with the divine. Through prayer, we express our fears, hopes, and gratitude, opening the door for God's reassurance to flow into our lives. Prayer is not merely about asking for solutions, it's about acknowledging that God is already aware of our needs and trusting Him to provide in His perfect timing and way. Another aspect of acknowledging God's presence is learning to see His hand in the details of our daily lives. Sometimes we overlook the subtle ways God intervenes and supports us. It could be through the kindness of a stranger, the beauty of nature, or a moment of unexpected clarity during a confusing time. These instances are not mere coincidences, but reminders that God is actively involved in our journey. By paying attention to these signs, we cultivate a deeper awareness of His presence, which strengthens our faith and helps us stay grounded, even during turbulent times. Acknowledging God's presence also changes how we perceive challenges. Difficult situations can feel like insurmountable obstacles, leading us to question our abilities, our circumstances, or even God's care for us. But when we approach challenges with the understanding that God is present, we can find meaning and purpose in the midst of them. Instead of viewing hardships as punishments or misfortunes, we can see them as opportunities for growth, refinement, and a deeper connection with God. This perspective doesn't minimize the pain of our struggles, but provides a framework for enduring them with hope and trust. Trusting in God's presence also fosters resilience. Life storms may threaten to knock us down, but knowing that God is with us gives us the strength to persevere. It reminds us that we don't have to carry our burdens alone. Whether it's a personal loss, a professional setback, or an unforeseen crisis, we can lean on God for support. This reliance on His presence transforms our approach to adversity, enabling us to face challenges with a calm assurance that ultimately we are in the hands of a loving and sovereign Creator. This acknowledgement of God's presence extends beyond personal struggles. It also shapes how we interact with others. When we see God as ever present, we are reminded that His love and care extend to all people. This realization encourages us to act with compassion, kindness, and understanding toward those around us. By seeing others through God's eyes, we become instruments of His love, spreading hope and encouragement in a world that desperately needs it. Another profound effect of acknowledging God's presence is the sense of gratitude it cultivates. When we recognize that God is always with us, we become more attuned to the blessings in our lives, both big and small. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. It reminds us that regardless of our circumstances, there is always something to be thankful for, a lesson learned, a moment of peace, or the simple fact that we are not alone in our journey. This attitude of gratitude not only enriches our relationship with God, but also improves our overall outlook on life. Living with the awareness of God's presence is not about denying the reality of life's difficulties or pretending that everything is always perfect. Instead, it is about embracing the truth that God is with us in every moment, offering guidance, comfort, and strength. It's a daily practice of surrendering our fears and uncertainties to Him and trusting that His plans for us are good, even when we don't understand them. This acknowledgement empowers us to face life's challenges with courage and grace, knowing that we are held by a God who loves us unconditionally. Ultimately, recognizing God's presence is an invitation to live with a sense of purpose and connection. It reminds us that our lives are part of a greater story, one that is being written by a loving and omniscient author. By keeping this truth at the forefront of our hearts and minds, we can navigate life's ups and downs with unwavering faith and a deep sense of peace, assured that we are never alone. Shifting your focus is a powerful approach to navigating life's complexities, particularly when faced with challenges or uncertainty. It involves deliberately changing your perspective to prioritize what truly matters, looking beyond immediate problems to seek higher meaning, purpose, and guidance. This mindset is transformative, as it allows us to view situations through a lens of faith, trust, and possibility, fostering resilience and hope even in the most difficult times. Life often brings moments when we feel overwhelmed, stuck, or consumed by worry. Our natural tendency in these moments is to fixate on the problem at hand. We dissect it, analyze it, and replay it in our minds, hoping to find a solution. However, this hyper-focus on the issue can create a sense of helplessness and magnify our fears. Shifting your focus changes this dynamic. It requires stepping back, widening your perspective, and choosing to see beyond the problem to what God may be doing in and through the situation. At the heart of shifting your focus is the act of seeking God first. When we direct our attention toward Him rather than our difficulties, we open ourselves to His guidance and peace. This doesn't mean ignoring the problem or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it means acknowledging that while the problem may be beyond our control, it is not beyond God's power. By shifting our focus to Him, we align ourselves with His wisdom and trust in His ability to work all things for good. One practical way to shift your focus is through prayer. Prayer is a conscious act of turning to God with our concerns, fears, and hopes. It redirects our attention from the uncertainty of our circumstances to the certainty of God's presence and provision. In prayer, we find reassurance that we are not navigating life's challenges alone. We are reminded that God is greater than any obstacle we face, and this perspective can bring a profound sense of peace, even in the midst of chaos. Another way to shift your focus is to reflect on God's promises and character. The Bible is filled with verses that remind us of God's faithfulness, love, and sovereignty. Meditating on these truths can shift our perspective from despair to hope. For instance, when faced with uncertainty, recalling verses like Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope," can provide comfort and clarity. These reminders help us focus not on the difficulty of our situation, but on the certainty of God's goodness and plans for our lives. Shifting your focus also involves cultivating gratitude. When we are preoccupied with our challenges, it's easy to overlook the blessings around us. However, taking the time to recognize and appreciate these blessings can transform our outlook. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, fostering a sense of contentment and hope. It reminds us that even in difficult times, there are still reasons to be thankful, and that God's hand is still at work in our lives. Perspective is powerful. How we choose to view a situation can significantly influence how we experience it. For example, consider a challenge not as a setback, but as an opportunity for growth. This shift in focus helps us see difficulties as part of God's refining process, shaping us into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate individuals. While the struggle itself may not be pleasant, recognizing its potential purpose can provide meaning and motivation to persevere. Shifting your focus doesn't just affect your internal experience, it also impacts your actions and relationships. When we are consumed by worry or frustration, our actions may reflect that negativity. However, when we focus on God and His promises, our demeanor changes. We become more patient, understanding, and compassionate, which can positively influence our interactions with others. This ripple effect not only strengthens our own faith, but also serves as a testimony to those around us, encouraging them to seek God in their own lives. The ability to shift your focus also prepares you to handle life's uncertainties with greater resilience. When unexpected challenges arise, they can feel destabilizing and overwhelming. However, maintaining a focus on God provides a steady anchor. It reminds us that while we may not understand the why behind a situation, we can trust in God's greater plan. This trust reduces anxiety and equips us to navigate uncertainty with confidence and peace. Another aspect of shifting your focus is learning to let go of control. Many of us have a tendency to want to solve every problem, manage every detail, and ensure a specific outcome. While effort and diligence are important, there comes a point where we must acknowledge our limitations and surrender the situation to God. Shifting your focus to Him is an act of surrender, a recognition that His ways are higher than ours and that His plans are ultimately for our good. This surrender is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom, as it allows us to rest in the assurance of His care. Ultimately, shifting your focus is a practice of faith. It is choosing to trust in what is unseen rather than being consumed by what is visible. It is believing that God is working behind the scenes, even when we can't see it. This trust frees us from the burden of carrying our challenges alone and invites us into a deeper relationship with God, where we can find peace, hope, and strength to face whatever comes our way. By shifting our focus, we move from a place of fear to a place of faith, from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance, and from self-reliance to divine reliance. This transformation not only changes how we approach life, but also allows us to experience the fullness of God's presence and purpose in every situation. Building faith through prayer is a transformative journey that deepens our connection with God and strengthens our ability to navigate life's challenges. Prayer is more than a ritual or a momentary act of communication. It is a spiritual discipline that fosters trust, aligns us with God's will, and cultivates peace in our hearts. It serves as both a refuge in difficult times and a pathway to spiritual growth, anchoring us in our faith and reminding us of God's constant presence and care. Faith is not static. It requires nurturing and intentional effort to grow. Prayer is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate faith because it bridges the gap between our finite understanding and God's infinite wisdom. Through prayer, we bring our concerns, fears, and desires to God, trusting Him to provide guidance and support. This act of surrender requires humility and belief, as it acknowledges that we cannot navigate life's complexities on our own. As we consistently turn to God in prayer, our faith is strengthened by the assurance that He hears us, understands our needs, and responds in ways that are ultimately for our good. One of the most profound aspects of prayer is its ability to foster trust in God. Life often presents us with situations that are beyond our control, moments of uncertainty, loss, or hardship that leave us feeling vulnerable and helpless. In such moments, prayer becomes a lifeline, reminding us that we are not alone and that God is sovereign over all circumstances. By bringing our struggles to Him in prayer, we release the burden of trying to solve everything ourselves and place our trust in His wisdom and timing. This act of reliance builds our faith as we experience the peace that comes from knowing God is in control, even when we are not. Prayer also deepens our understanding of God's character, which is essential for building faith. As we spend time in prayer, we reflect on who God is, His love, mercy, faithfulness, and power. This reflection reinforces our belief in His goodness and strengthens our confidence in His promises. For example, when we pray and meditate on God's faithfulness, we are reminded of how He has been present in our past, providing for our needs and guiding us through challenges. This remembrance encourages us to trust Him in the present and future, knowing that He is unchanging and dependable. Another way prayer builds faith is by cultivating a spirit of gratitude. When we approach God in prayer, we are invited to thank Him for His blessings, both big and small. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, helping us recognize the many ways God is already at work in our lives. This awareness fosters a deeper appreciation for His provision and care, which in turn strengthens our faith. As we thank God for answered prayers and past mercies, we are reminded of His faithfulness and are encouraged to trust Him with our current concerns. Prayer is also a means of aligning our hearts with God's will. Often our initial prayers may focus on our desires and preferences, asking God to fulfill our specific requests. While there is nothing wrong with presenting our needs to God, prayer invites us to go deeper, seeking not just what we want, but what God wants for us. As we spend time in His presence, we begin to discern His will and align our desires with His purposes. This alignment builds faith because it shifts our perspective from a self-centered view to a God-centered one, helping us trust that His plans are better than our own. In addition to personal growth, prayer builds faith by fostering a sense of community and shared reliance on God. When we pray with others, whether in a family setting, a church group, or with friends, we are reminded that we are part of a larger body of believers who share our faith journey. Corporate prayer strengthens our faith as we witness God working in the lives of those around us. Hearing testimonies of answered prayers and shared struggles reinforces the reality of God's presence and encourages us to trust Him more fully in our own lives. Consistency in prayer is key to building faith. Like any relationship, our connection with God deepens when we invest time and effort. Regular prayer keeps us anchored in our faith, even when life feels overwhelming or uncertain. It is through the habit of daily prayer that we develop a sense of intimacy with God, learning to recognize His voice and experience His peace. This consistent practice builds resilience, helping us remain steadfast in our faith regardless of external circumstances. Finally, prayer teaches us patience and dependence on God. Faith is often tested in the waiting periods of life, when answers to our prayers seem delayed or unclear. These moments challenge us to trust God's timing and continue seeking Him, even when we don't see immediate results. As we persevere in prayer, our faith grows stronger, rooted in the belief that God's plans are perfect and His timing is always right. The act of waiting becomes a lesson in trust, teaching us to rely on God rather than our own understanding. Through prayer, we cultivate a faith that is resilient, rooted, and unwavering. It becomes a source of strength that sustains us through life's trials and a means of deepening our relationship with God. By consistently turning to Him in prayer, we build a foundation of trust, gratitude, and alignment with His will, allowing our faith to flourish in every season of life. Practicing gratitude is a transformative habit that reshapes how we experience life, deepens our connection with God, and fosters a sense of peace and contentment. Gratitude is more than just saying thank you or feeling appreciative when good things happen. It is an intentional recognition of God's presence and blessings in every aspect of our lives, even in the midst of challenges. When we cultivate gratitude as a daily practice, it shifts our perspective, enriches our faith, and allows us to see the hand of God at work in ways we might otherwise overlook. Life is a mixture of joys and hardships, and it's natural for our attention to gravitate toward problems or unmet needs. However, this focus can cloud our ability to see the blessings that surround us. Gratitude invites us to take a step back and redirect our focus, encouraging us to acknowledge and appreciate the goodness in our lives, no matter how small. It's a deliberate choice to look for reasons to be thankful, even when circumstances seem overwhelming or disappointing. This choice is an act of faith because it affirms that God is present and active regardless of our current situation. One of the most profound effects of practicing gratitude is the way it transforms our relationship with God. When we express thankfulness, we acknowledge that every good thing we have ultimately comes from Him. This recognition fosters a spirit of humility, reminding us that we are dependent on God for our needs and that He is our ultimate provider. Gratitude helps us see beyond the superficial aspects of our blessings to the deeper truth that God is the source of all we have and all we are. This awareness strengthens our faith and draws us closer to Him as we recognize His love and care in our everyday lives. Gratitude also serves as a powerful antidote to negativity and despair. In difficult seasons, it can be tempting to dwell on what is wrong or what we lack. While it's important to be honest about our struggles, practicing gratitude helps us balance our perspective by reminding us of what is still good, stable, and hopeful. For example, even in times of loss, we can be thankful for the memories we hold, the people who support us, or the lessons we've learned. Gratitude doesn't deny the reality of pain, but offers a way to find light in the darkness, helping us maintain hope and resilience. The practice of gratitude can be cultivated in many ways. One effective method is to set aside time each day to reflect on the blessings in your life. This could be as simple as keeping a gratitude journal, where you write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. These could range from significant events like the support of a loved one to small but meaningful moments like the warmth of the sun on your face or the taste of your favorite meal. Over time, this practice trains your mind to notice and appreciate the positive aspects of your life, even on difficult days. Gratitude also deepens our ability to trust God. When we intentionally focus on His past blessings and faithfulness, we are reminded of how He has provided for us before. This reflection builds confidence that He will continue to care for us in the future. For instance, recalling a time when God brought you through a tough situation or provided an unexpected solution can strengthen your faith in His ability to guide you through current challenges. Gratitude becomes a testimony of God's goodness, reinforcing our trust in His plans and His timing. Another way gratitude enriches our lives is by fostering contentment. In a world that often emphasizes material success and the pursuit of more, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparison and dissatisfaction. Practicing gratitude shifts our focus from what we don't have to what we do, helping us recognize the abundance already present in our lives. This shift nurtures a sense of satisfaction and joy, reminding us that true fulfillment comes not from possessions or achievements, but from recognizing and cherishing God's blessings. Gratitude also has a profound impact on our relationships. When we express thankfulness to others, it strengthens our bonds and fosters a sense of connection. A simple thank you to a friend, family member, or colleague for their support, kindness, or presence can deepen relationships and encourage a spirit of mutual appreciation. Beyond this, gratitude helps us see others through a lens of grace and understanding. By focusing on their positive qualities and the ways they enrich our lives, we cultivate a more compassionate and generous attitude toward those around us. Even more profoundly, gratitude shapes how we respond to challenges. It encourages us to look for the silver linings and opportunities for growth in difficult situations. For example, a financial setback might teach us the value of resourcefulness and the importance of relying on God's provision. A health struggle might deepen our appreciation for life and the people who care for us. Gratitude transforms adversity into a chance to learn, grow, and draw closer to God, helping us see trials as part of His greater plan for our lives. Lastly, gratitude is contagious. When we practice thankfulness, it not only changes our own hearts, but also inspires those around us to do the same. A grateful attitude radiates joy and positivity, encouraging others to reflect on their blessings and approach life with a similar mindset. In this way, gratitude becomes a gift that we share, creating a ripple effect of hope and encouragement in our families, communities, and beyond. By making gratitude a daily habit, we cultivate a life of abundance, faith, and peace. It becomes a way of living that keeps us attuned to God's presence and reminds us that even in the most ordinary moments, His blessings are all around us. Through gratitude, we experience the fullness of His love and provision, allowing us to face life's ups and downs with confidence, hope, and joy.